Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Good morning, this is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watts and Charles Bishop, and we got a special guest, Brian Fulford, running the mothership, as they say. Welcome to episode 723 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic program and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and special guest, Brian Fulford. Make sure you stay tuned today and tonight when Brian Fulford and AD will be providing you your sports wrapping up your Sunday or getting you started for the week. They tend to do a little bit of both for you. We're filming from our home studio, or at least many of these individuals are. I'm actually, as you probably can tell, I'm in the airport getting ready to take a flight out. Got to do some business in Puerto Rico, if that was 1 week before the big game in Puerto Rico at the Division II level with Kentucky State, which is hot. We'll be taking on William Pierce. But we'll talk a little bit more on that on Tuesday. As I said, welcome to the beautiful home of Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody on board. As we get going here, let me say today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THD Agency. THD Agency is a company that provides sporting, education consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, Big Mike, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Doc. Beautiful Sunday morning. Been traveling on the road, getting ready to. You're in Puerto Rico. I'll be in Mexico for 5 days of business as well. So, but
I like that. Maybe we can give a couple of high fives into that.
Exactly. Give some distance high fives. Other than that, reeling from the big game and surprising a few others. But other than that, good to be up this morning with my gang here. So.
Yeah, everybody can't be like Charles, where he gets to, travel to Mississippi to make sure he gets to be in front of everybody else, covering the game of the century, as I told everybody leading into this, Brian. But Charles, how you doing this morning?
I have my trusty water bottle. That tells you a lot where my throat is right now. So this has been my friend for quite some time. Yeah, it's been one heck of a homecoming. That was a game for the ages with regards to Alabama State, and I know we'll get into it, but that game probably enters the annals in terms of top five in terms of where we are in terms of looking at Jackson State wins in that stadium. That was a crazy game.
I know who you'll be giving a helmet sticker to. Let me do an early shout out in case you decide not to. I'm gonna give a shout out to QB Morgan, QB1, who made sure everybody understood the value of a quarterback. A lot of people question that young man coming in, but he stood the course big time. And it's hard when you get the opportunity to do on the biggest of stages. He did it well. Tiffany and them did a great job in terms of what that looks like. So covering that game, Jay. So give him a lot of credit. But I see that homecoming took care of you very well, Charles. Let me go over to Brian Fulford. He is the play-by caller over there. Well, not play-by-play, but his trusty sidekick, as they would say. So he's getting a different vantage point, and I'm not sure if he's happy what that is. Obviously, we won't ask him about that from this perspective because he is now a professional, and he has to kind of give his professional opinion, but at the same time, toe the line. We like the people to stay employed. So, Brian, how are you doing today?
Well, I wish I was traveling to Puerto Rico and Mexico and anywhere else. I mean, I love being in Tallahassee, but boy, I sure would love to be somewhere else. I'm just drinking coffee, enjoying my Sunday. It's NFL football. Hey, you see what I got on? It's NFL football Sunday. I'm moving on.
He didn't move to NFL. Some of y'all need to be moving to basketball season, but we'll talk about that later as we get into 80. Drew, quietly kept. Morehouse has won 2 in a row. So maybe he's the good luck charm over there at the Maroon Tigers. How you doing this morning, AD Drew, as I see you in the hotel getting ready to make moves as you were on the road. But on the road with a victory coming home is a lot easier than not. How are you doing this morning?
I'm going to put this in perspective. For the first time since 2021, Morehouse has a winning streak.
Wow.
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 Let's talk about that. And Brian, you took the job at the wrong time. That's all I'm gonna say. You took the job at the wrong time.
It's never the wrong time to do the job.
Never the wrong
time. AD Drew, it's a difficult time. Let's put it that way. It's a difficult time. And as Charles was doing his segment, he'll put a couple of folks on the ledge, so don't be surprised if he walking the plank with Brian Pope.
FAMU has completed the jump.
I'm just gonna say
number 3, Charles, Mike, Doc, Brian. I have to put what I saw yesterday as number 2, at least of this decade. Nice. The only one that I can think of that
I know where you're going, and I agree,
was the one where Jackson State came out on the wrong side of it, which would have to be the Celebration Bowl against North Carolina Central. That's the only game right now that I can put ahead of what I witnessed yesterday. And that reminded me of the finish in that game where it literally came down to the last play. It also reminded me of the Rams and Tennessee Titans Super Bowl where it came down to the last
1 yard
play.
line.
And it was a defensive stand on all 3 of those was the common factor.
We'll categorize them. Yeah, I can categorize them.
I will tell you this. If you think about it, arguably 3 of the top 5, top 10, whatever you want to count, games of the decade featured Jackson State. I would call this the first one in terms of the regular season. I agree wholeheartedly with AD Drew. It's going to be hard to topple that national championship game, which was held in the Celebration Bowl between Jackson State and North Carolina Central. I would put right up in there to start things off the first year in terms of the newest SWAC conference expansion, which had Jackson State and FAMU in a classic matchup. So literally in my mind, 3 of the top 5, 3 of the top 10. You can tell me other games you want to put in there, but I would argue those 3 have to be up in there. And I agree wholeheartedly with AD Drew. Top one is the Celebration Bowl, but I put number 2, this one in the entrance. Obviously, we got to see how the season falls off just to let us know the magnitude of what we watched. But I tried to tell everybody earlier this had the chance. And I wanted to start the talk so folks could see. And the best thing that happened to me, thanks to the coaches and the players, it lived up to it.
It did.
I want to see what the numbers are on that game from the television views. I was only able to catch the second half of the game live, but anybody who is an HBCU football fan, if you missed that yesterday, please go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a little personal privilege, and this is where I get to give some love to my family. That's Kwame, my brother, my cousin, Big Ben. They fight on the Texas border, if you would. Big Ben played at OU, and as you know, Kwame played at UT. So we have a little group chat that we talk to each other. And leading into this Red River game, I'll just put it that way because I don't want to spend too much time in love with them. But family is involved, so give me a little privilege there. And I only say that because that game happened to be on at the same time. So they were chatting it up, going back in the chat, and they were laughing. Even my other brother who's in there, Chayo, gets in there a little bit. But I was just ignoring and laughing at most times. But at the end, as things started passing up, the thing that took place that was funny there is like the game over and this kind of stuff. I said, yeah, I've been watching Jackson State, Alabama State game. Drew, hit your mic there in terms of that. And so it's funny. I only bring all that up because that will be one challenge. Obviously, ESPNU has a different type of rating when you compare to other, but it was playing the same time as the Red River Shootout, I'd like to call it. So if they get any decent numbers, really think about what that looks like when you up against OU Texas, which for the most part was close until the end after I looked at it at the end of the Jackson State game, but still nothing occurs to that. With that being said, let's give some other games some love. Brian, what else was on your mind in terms of what you saw take place with big games yesterday?
How about, I don't do this a lot, but how about what happened over, as we like to say, over there on the beach, in Daytona Beach? I mean, man, if you had on your bingo card Bethune-Cookman having not only a better offense, but having a better record at the halfway point of the season over FAMU, God bless you, go play the lottery. I didn't have it. I didn't see it happening, but I did pick the Wildcats to beat Southern in the Pick 5 contest. And, man, I tell you, that offense is looking good. And I just knew Southern didn't have an offense. And so they lived up to the pudding, man. And congrats to the Wildcats, man. Maybe they found something, man. Even though they got, beat by Alabama State last week, they still put up 35 points.
Still put up 35, yeah.
Yeah, that told me something. And, I don't know. That's a long ways away, that Florida Classic. I'm not even looking that far ahead. I'm just trying to get to the next week. One win at a time, as the coaches say, right?
Yeah, you smart. You're smart for doing that, and you're absolutely correct. That was one of the games I told everybody to keep their eyes on. I was nervous for those Southern Jaguar fans, just because what we've seen them inability to do offensively, and we've seen that Bethune-Cookman could score. The only question is their defense, and to me, that gives a lot of question marks for Southern when you can't even really put up offensive numbers against a defense that doesn't show out. You knew you were going to struggle stopping them, but this concerns you with the offense as well. So, Mike, what was a big game from your perspective? What were you looking at?
Well, Ryan kind of took my thunder with that one. The other one that really stands out a little bit to me is Texas Southern over Grambling, 21-20. The reason I say that is because, number one, stats. If you look up the stats and you look between the two teams, Texas Southern put up quite a bit of offense. Now, they're one of three teams in the SWAC that are on a multi-game winning streak. That's Prairie View, Texas Southern, and Jackson State. Jackson State's on a 4-game winning streak. And I wonder if Prairie View and Texas Southern had to go play that game again right now, or at the end. I kind of wonder what that story would be like. The first, it was game one. It was already exciting, but Texas Southern has done their usual and get progressively better as the season goes. So that to me stood out. So,
man, great calls by both of you all. Charles did not leading you a lot of meat on the bone. With the other direction, you going any other game stood out to you, or you gonna go?
No, those two? I think that's they hit it. In terms of not leaving any meat on the bone. I think that was significant. Because I was curious as to when the last time Texas Southern went to Grambling and got a win there at Grambling in terms of what they were able to do last night. But Etienne Renfro. You got to give that young man some credit. Texas Southern's running back. We talked about him, a little bit this past week going into that game, how significant he would be. And for Texas Southern come out of there with a huge win on Grambling's homecoming, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's correct. It was
a huge win for Texas Southern.
Yeah, big time.
Hey, Charles.
In the race.
Charles, question. Did
Yeah.
you bring me my Johnny T's gift back?
I got you Johnny T's gift pack sitting over here.
That means I got mine. I'm so happy. I can live life. 80 Drew, which direction you going?
Since y'all didn't leave any meat on the bone as far as the FCS schools, I'm gonna pull out this plate out the microwave and go into the D2 ranks.
Yep.
All right. How about Kentucky State's dominance over Edward Waters by the score of 42-14? So now there leaves two undefeated conference teams in the SIAC, that being Albany State and Benedict, who ironically do not play each other. So we could have two undefeated teams potentially matching up in the SIAC championship game.
That would be nice.
Good luck, Dr. Holloman, figuring out who the host team is, because you're going to make somebody upset no matter how you do it. But if you can't figure it out, we can play that game over at BT Harvey if you need a neutral site. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I like that. Good call.
And
Coin flip.
how about Fayetteville State quietly still undefeated in the CIAA?
I know it's really early, but you got a couple of teams in the SWAC that are undefeated. And the only reason I bring that up, if they stay there, remember this was potentially going to take place a couple of years ago. And you had the fact that the tiebreakers in the SWAC starts the head-to-head, but obviously you go down. One of the third or fourth tiebreakers is the rankings in the national standing. So that may be something that Dr. Holloman, I should say, maybe start to think about. And we need to start looking at in terms of the SIAC as well as the SWAC, who has the highest ranking in the SWAC in terms of tiebreakers down the stretch is key. So I can see that taking place in the SIAC as well. But I agree with you, AD Drew, being able to throw out the home team just in case you need a neutral site. That's the way it works out.
Hey, it's in Atlanta.
All Brian says, coin flip, be interesting to see what that looks like. So let's take our first break, come back on the other side. We're going to see what those top 7 teams did in terms of the poll rankings, give you a little breakdown on that. We touched on some of them. We'll take a deeper dive and get you some of the teams in the MEAC and see what they were doing. We'll be right back after this first break.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we get back into it, let's put up what took place this weekend. We'll start out, obviously, with the Big Ben. And as we finish this segment, we'll see who wants to give the Big Ben Sticker Award. Obviously, that is named after Ben L. Cavil Sr., Big Ben, who was recognized as an early entrant of the first decade of SWAC creation in 1920. He played from 1925 to 1929. Big Ben distinguished himself for leading the academic fraternity as a member of Wiley College team, SWAC All-American champion, Alpha Phi fraternity. Pledgee in 1925. We say that Mike Charles Pledgee at that time. Initiated in 1926, those year-long activities while compiling championship stories, records, and national honors as an HBCU gridiron legend. The fullback and a member of the Wildcats. 11, he excelled outside the Eurocentric framing of the American football collegiate context of that era. Let's get into what rankings were last week. This is a reminder as we go down to these top 7 scores. This is what you saw last week. At that time, Texas Southern was ranked 7. Howard Bison was ranked 6. The 5th team coming into the rankings was South Carolina State Bulldogs. Number 4 was Prairie View A&M Panthers. And number 3, North Carolina Centrals, and the top 2 teams that faced off in what now will be forever recognized as one of the games of the century, Alabama State Hornets and the Jackson State Tigers. Let's get into what some of you all realize, but officially put out there in terms of scores for week 7. Top 7 lists included. Number 1 featured that number 1 versus number 2. Jackson State wins that contest 38-34. I was so close looking for this to go overtime, but Morgan said not to be. Instead of having to have his Jackson State trial field goal to tie it, send it essentially to overtime, he was able to get into the end zone. Big time pass, big time play. He went down the length of the field. Jackson State improves to 5-1, more importantly, 3-0 in the conference standings. As number 2 Alabama State falls to 4-2 overall and 2-1 in the standings. Bringing us to number 3. Number 3 is North Carolina Central. They were on the road to Tallahassee. North Carolina Central improves to 5-2 as they have a week off. Then they get into conference play where it really counts in terms of getting your bid to the Celebration Bowl. But they made one last non-conference statement as they defeat FAMU 45-7. As I say, FAMU falls to 4-1 in the conference race. Intriguing, while overall record doesn't look good, they're still theoretically in the SWAC race with just one conference loss, and they have the team that holds the cards right now in front of them. And they play them at home. We'll see what that means as we get to it. Have some other games along the way. With that being said, number 4 on the list was Prairie View. They had an open date. They sit at 4-2 and 3-0 as they are 3-0, defeating 3 Western Division Conference teams. Next up is number 5. Number 5 is South Carolina State. They travel to what many refer to as the greatest homecoming on earth. I had some folks texting and says, can you be the greatest homecoming on earth if you cannot win your homecoming game? I'm just saying. But with that
it's not about
said,
the game, Dr. Cavil.
Okay, my fault. Self-correct. South Carolina State is 4-3, defeating Aggies 22-16. Aggies fall to 1-6, 1-2. Go ahead, Mike. You wanted to sneak something?
Oh no, you talking about homecoming? Every time that's some corporate folks that have a big showing at the game, and they always have, this is G-Ho. So I was texting them back. G ha ha, G what the hell, G whatever. Yes, I'm calling you out your name.
Hey, the thing
Hey,
was
Dr. Cavil.
they really teased folks as it was 9-0 going early in the contest. Actually, in the half, I think it was, and it turned around quickly in the second half. Go ahead, AD.
Keep in mind, Morris Brown still has homecoming, and they don't have a team, so it's not about the game.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
And I've known that with a lot of the NIA programs. And they actually do homecoming for those that don't realize they tend to do it during basketball season. So as we talk about folks getting prepared for basketball season, we might have some folks that decide that they need to look in a homecoming for basketball instead of football. But that's another discussion as well. Let's get to number 6. Number 6 is Howard. They fall to Sacred Heart. The Pioneers improved to 5-2. Number 6, Howard 3-3. As they fall to that record, were defeated 32-14. They were leading into that contest the second week in a row where they led. And tough call, went for it on fourth down. Certainly could understand it, but they ended up giving Sacred Heart a short field. They took advantage of it, scored, and Howard just could not fight back after that. And fall 32-14. Bringing us to number 7. Number 7 this week is Texas Southern University, creeping the pole, and they hold true. Go on the road and get a huge victory, particularly when you're playing in Grambling the Hole, which is a legendary place. No matter how Grambling is playing solid enough, but just can't get out of their own way in some ways. And Texas Southern, steady as the ship in terms of what they did, increased their record to 3-3, 3-1 in the SWAC Western Division. With more importantly, as Grambling falls to 3-3 and 0-2 in the conference standing, so they have a low road back. Still a long season, a lot of games ahead. We'll see what that looks like. That'll do it for the top 7 scores. So let's get back into the discussion before we take the next 7 and giving you the new rankings. Let's see what these gentlemen think in terms of top 7. They've talked about a little bit of it. So you can give your comments there, Charles. And while you're doing it, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about, based on other scores and top 7 scores, who are you putting on the ledge in regards to any of the top 7 scores that you want to continue to talk about?
Top 7 scores, I think the state of Louisiana. If you're rooting for any team in Louisiana, you are definitely beyond the ledge today. You have officially made the jump. You know who your point guard is. You know a little bit about the first 10 games on the schedule. So that is the reality of what it is right now for the Grambling Tigers as well as Southern Jaguars not being in the poll. FAMU, come on, let's go. Let's go. It is time to get to know Charlie Ward. It is, we're officially there. We are officially there. So yeah, we passed the line of demarcation. Now it's off the ledge we go.
You know that's tough when you are on the ledge or off the ledge, and the MEAC hasn't even started a conference race. That's tough. That's tough when yours is about over and the other conference hasn't even started. Mike, let me go to you. Where are you in terms of top 7? And do you have a helmet sticker that you want to put out there? Big Ben helmet sticker to be specific.
Yeah, so first of all, I concur with my compadre there, CB. They are on the plank. They are doing swan dives. The state of Louisiana and them folks, I'm sorry, Brian, with that ridiculous thing you do with your wrist or whatever, that the strike zone, whatever. You guys are doing swan dives right now. So, man, I know there are some rules on the Big Ben helmet sticker, but I'm sorry, I gotta give Jacoby. He gets a sticker from me. I saw that guy. We've been talking about Andrew Body, but this guy played his butt off yesterday. Balanced game. In my opinion, he gets a helmet sticker.
5 touchdowns. Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt. The nice thing about the helmet sticker, while the award goes to somebody connected to the state of Texas or played football at HBCU that's in Texas, as we do the awards, you're right. You open it up and you can give the helmet sticker to whoever you want in terms of the Big Ben. That's the difference during the season. We award the helmet sticker to anybody when we talk about the award, which you're alluding to. So you're right on it, Mike. You're doing perfectly fine. Let me go to AD Drew. and see what he is thinking in regards to either a helmet sticker, Big Ben helmet sticker to a player, or the top 7. Anything that you want to add to that conversation?
I just wanted to spare one rumor, Dr. Cavil. There is no truth to the rumor that North Carolina Central and Sacred Heart will be meeting in the MEAC championship game because Sacred Heart has defeated another MEAC opponent. Just want to make sure everybody is clear on that. They are 3-0 in the MEAC this year in the front seat. All right.
Nice.
Helmet sticker. You have to excuse me on this one, Dr. Cavil. I got to give Xavier T-Set a helmet sticker for Grambling. The man tried to warm up, could not go. He was not supposed to play due to injuries to the other 2 quarterbacks. Well, due to injury to one and ineffectiveness of the second one, he takes the walking boot off in the 4th quarter and is leading the potential game to go ahead drive when the Cleveland Brown thing happens to him and they fumble inside the 10-yard line to give the ball back to Texas Southern, and then Texas Southern is able to run out the clock. So if anybody deserves a helmet sticker despite a loss, the fact that you had a walking boot on before the game due to a lower extremity injury, he deserves a helmet sticker. And if I could quickly give one out on the D2 level, Dr. Cavil,
sure.
How about the Albany State pair of running backs? Ajan Hood Thomas and Tion Weiss both go for a century against Clark Atlanta. Thomas running for 105, Weiss running for 102 and 1 touchdown.
Perfectly done, Big Ben. Liberty, that's what we do in terms of the Big Ben sticker. It's your choice, your highlights. The rules are off major division, so perfect time to do it. So I'm glad you did that because those young men, all 3 of them they certainly deserve Big Ben helmet sticker. Brian, you're the last one up. You get a chance to talk about top 7 or give your Big Ben helmet sticker. Where are you going?
Well, I don't always get an opportunity to talk about the Big Ben helmet sticker, so I had to do a quick research. And when you know, I actually watched a candidate yesterday afternoon, a young man from Fort Worth, Texas, one of the top 10 running backs in FCS football, put up another 100-yard plus game. Chris Mosley, North Carolina Central, 23 carries, 131 yards. That's 5.7 for those who don't know. And he capped it off with a 50-yard touchdown run. And you talk about, the air was already slowly pouring out of the balloon, but when he ran that 50-yard, popped it, and people were heading if they hadn't already left for the exits, they were walking because there was a beautiful run. That's a bad dude. I
agree.
So there's my helmet sticker, Chris Mosley. Hey, chef's kiss. Nice job, son.
That's
Charles, Charles, I'm gonna come back to you and let you get a helmet sticker. I just always go around because I want you to start the ledge, but you always will be able to give a helmet sticker. What is your entrance in terms of the helmet sticker?
Yeah, I absolutely have to give a helmet sticker. Quincy Ivory, defensive end for Jackson State, 12 tackles yesterday, 8 of them solo, had a half sack, had a tackle for a loss, had a huge interception in that game yesterday for Jackson State. You're talking about, 2 tremendous teams going down to the wire. Jackson State, 1 second, 1 play better than Alabama State. And I have to, in a losing effort, Andrew Body, he deserves a helmet sticker yesterday as well in terms of just both of those quarterbacks who trying to will their team to a victory yesterday.
Yeah, he made several comebacks after he was being harassed by the Jackson State defense perfectly. So it's really good in terms of what that looks like. That tip interception was his first interception of the year and took a gigantic, huge play to get it done and still bounce back. AD Drew, you had one more. Did you want to?
I just got a question. Are we going to talk any further about this game? Do I need to put a pin in this one, or can I ask my question now?
Let's do it on the other side, and we come back after the break before we get into the top 7 we'll do our final pen in terms of that game, because I certainly want to get any superlatives or components out of it. Let's take this next break, come back on the other side, and we'll do just that. Started off with 80. Drew, before we release week 7's top 7 for the major division football rankings. We'll be right back after this break.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. And we have the Sports Rap team, which is Brian and AD. AD wanted to have one final statement in regards to the game of the decade. Let me know what you have there, AD.
I want to go back to 7:07 remaining in the fourth quarter. Alabama State has just scored. Jackson State is leading by a score of 31-26 with the PAT imminent. Every chart that I know of at that point in the fourth quarter tells you to go for 2. If Alabama State goes for 2 right there, makes the score 31-28, we have an entirely different ending to that ball game, because Alabama State, first of all, Jackson State is a little bit more in panic mode, because instead of needing a field goal to tie, they wound up getting the touchdown, but they would have been forced to try to go for the touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown, which put them up, which would have been 38-35 at that point, but that forces Jackson State to go for the touchdown, which may have changed the play call. And at the end, Alabama State only needs a field goal to tie instead of a touchdown to have to win the game. That call at 7:07 in the fourth quarter really affected the outcome of this game. So I'm just, I just wanted to throw that out there for discussion purposes for everybody.
Yeah, always
Well,
intriguing in terms of what that looks like. Charles, you were there, and you may have got a chance to even ask that, or the question came up. Can you add some context to that?
no, I think that's a question that'll probably come up in the Monday presser in terms of Coach Robinson's thinking in that regards. But the nuances of the game, you got to remember Jackson State missed a 51-yarder earlier in the game, so there's a scoring component there that if you take out, if this had not happened then we might not even been talking about 31 to 20 26 and having to get to making a decision there. But I think there was probably 2 or 3 occasions yesterday where you're kind of thinking if then because actually Wilton Jackson and I were just going back over scenarios back and forth yesterday in the press box.
Good comments, and that's why you have these games. That's why they become, I should say, the game of the decade, as I refer to it when it plays out. You're going to get those big-time plays, close plays, winning plays, questionable calls, decisions, things that you can look back. Some people were talking about the decision to go to the short side of the field on the last
weekend.
To the week, yeah.
And it was so you got to give a lot of credit, regardless, to Jackson State defense being able to force the issue and make the plays. But as you gave the helmet sticker to the body, the fact that he actually is a right-hander and threw it with his left hand to try and got it off to even have an attempt until you have another great play with the tackle, as you alluded earlier, taking you back to the Super Bowl at the 1-yard line. Or even with that, think about how that would have went down if he would have realized he threw that ball with his left hand that gets the ball to the receiver out the flat there, and somehow he's able to dive in and hit the pylon. Think about how that would have changed.
How about the review?
So those what ifs
gave them the 1 second.
Well, I think that was the right call
yeah.
when we seen it live. But you're right, it was
the drama
question, the drama that goes into it, the fact that you think it's over on one side and you go back in there and they do the replay, and the fact that he did get the first down, you stop automatically. Now, the 2 things that were in there, and Jay did a really good job at explaining to everybody, is that you don't have a time to get a play off with less than 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is Alabama State still had a timeout. And then there was a play earlier saying maybe they should have called a timeout to spike the ball to save a couple of seconds, but it ended up working in the favor in that play scenario that they got one more play. The referees looked at it. It was down with certainly a second on the clock, which means they automatically had a chance to call a timeout. He's calling the timeout, so you get to play regardless. Jackson State made the defensive stop, and that's how we will record it in history. Let's get into this top 7 as we're up against it in terms of releasing what took place, dropping out this week. And this is week 7. October 12th, as the season is speeding along. We're literally at the halfway mark, or just above it for some teams that are playing 7 games. But Howard drops out after another tough loss. Howard falls out of the top 7. They're 3-3 for the season. They have a game where they travel to Tennessee State for the homecoming, see if they can get a little payback in terms of this. Everybody else is off of the MEAC as they enter in the conference play the week after that. So fascinating to see that. Receiving votes, let's get into that. Top 3 teams of the 7, 10 teams total here that are receiving votes. Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. That 4th quarter against South Carolina State has seemed to really change the season. They did not come back and get that victory, but they've won ever since, which means they improved themselves to 3-4 in the season and 2-1 in the conference races. They're now top of the standings in the Eastern Division, right behind Jackson State. Think about that. Alabama A&M Bulldogs have getting a gutty win at homecoming as they win their homecoming against Mississippi Valley State. Mississippi Valley State is playing right there with anybody. Can't quite get over the hump, but they're in some ball games. Alabama A&M gets it done offensively in a lot of ways. The key defensive stops as they improve to 4-3, 1-2 in the conference race, at least get themselves on the win column there, as they had took 2 straight losses in conference race, so they're feeling better about themselves. Howard's still remaining in the top 10, essentially, as they're the last team receiving votes. Howard Bison fall to 3-3 on the season, 148, 128, 116 points respectively. Let's get in where it counts the top 7. Starting at number 7, Delaware State is back in the top 7. They're 4-3 on the season as they get a big time win, 70 points over 700 total yards, almost 900 total yards, as they just were ridiculous. That including in terms of rushing. They had a big framework on that. Well, when you think about what they were able to do, so 16.9 yards a carry, over 608 yards rushing, just under 800 yards, as I said, 791 to be exact, in terms of what that looks like. Moving on to number 6. Texas Southern goes on the road, as we said, gets the victory against Grambling State. Fascinating when you think about what they're doing after that last play loss to Prairie View and a couple of other FBS losses. In Lamar, that was a top 25 team at the time. They've won 3 straight, 3-3 on the season, 3-1 in terms of the conference race, 161, and they do move up the spot. And number 5, South Carolina State Bulldogs. They're playing some close games, but they're getting it done. 4-3 overall. They have a week off before they get into the real action, conference play. They remain at number 5 with 180 points. Bringing us number 4. Prairie View was off and watched teams fall further behind them, as the Prairie View and Panthers improved to 4-2, 3-0 in the conference race, 184 points. More importantly, they stay at number 4. Bringing us to the top 3. Number 3, Alabama State Hornets fall to 1 spot, 4-2, 2-1, 1 first place vote. So they lose 2 of them, 200 points. After being number 2, game of the century, they dropped just a spot. Bringing us to number 2, North Carolina Central goes on the road, FAMU, and wins as they improve to 5-2, number 1, 214 points, and move up just a slot. They gain 2 first place votes as they're getting it done. Bringing us to number 1, the Jackson State Tigers improve to 5-1, 3-0 in terms of what they're getting done. Big time win for Jackson State, solidifying the number 1 spot, actually adding 2 first place votes. They improved to 2-2, 222 points. Remain number 1 in week 1. Be interesting to see everybody's thoughts. Let's start with you, Big Mike. As Jackson State remains number 1 after week number 7. That's 13 straight weeks that they've been at the number 1, going back to week number 10 last season in 2024. Mike, what do you say about the top 7?
Man, this I'm gonna have to take a drink or something. This is one more week that I'm gonna actually agree with you on your poll. I'm gonna have to go sip something. But no, in all seriously, I agree. Jackson State, of course, is a top team. Heck, I think they gave their punter a break in his last game. That's how efficient their offense was. So, and then North Carolina Central, the Eagles, yes. Their only 2 losses, Old Dominion, and I forget the other one, with New Hampshire or something like that. So I think it's the right 7, and I have no issues with the order or where they're falling. Some could argue that you can move South Carolina and Prairie View up interchangeably, but to me, in this week, based on what I've seen, this is the right teams and the right order. I will also go back to July when we had the order of pick finish, and it's kind of weird that 2 teams out of the West that are in this poll mid-year were 2 teams at the bottom of the order of pick finish for the West. Just want to point that out. Prairie View and TSU were at the bottom or close to the bottom, so go figure. That's why they play the game.
I think it was 4 and 5, if I remember right.
Yep,
sure was. Go ahead, AD. Give me your thoughts on the top 7.
I'm going to start at the bottom, Dr. Cavil. While Delaware State is having a season for the ages this year, I disagree with them being on this list, picking up their 2nd win against a Division II opponent this year. Brian, my orange card is in the bill. I am supposed to talk about the Wildcats here on this show, but I think Bethune should be in that number 7 spot. So ahead of Delaware State. Now let's get to the top. Obviously, we know number one is number one. I personally think Alabama State should still be sitting at number two. You cannot tell me a one score last play loss to the number one team, the only team who was ahead of you, is not worth more than
on the road
a
too.
blowout
On the road.
victory against a non-ranked Florida A&M Rattlers. That's just my personal opinion. My personal poll, I left Alabama State at number two. When I turned in my poll yesterday, still left Central at number three. No disrespect to the win Central had over the Rattlers, but that loss in a week-to-week poll to me was better than the Eagles' win over the Rattlers.
I struggled with that too. I actually was thinking that, but I looked at the way they beat FAMU. I looked at who their losses were. So I went back and forth. I hear you, AD, as well when I turned mine in, but something just told me, hey, they still lost. It's week to week, as Dr. Cavil will remind us. Even though it was on the road, whatever, I had them in numbers, but I was thinking along those lines. So
I think both of you can make that argument.
Yeah.
Let's see what Brian has to say.
No, I went week to week as well, and so that's I dropped Alabama State one spot from 2 to 3, moved Central up one spot. Win, loss. I still think you're looking at the three best teams right now, and I think it's tomatoes. I'm just curious about. You said two people. There was a change in the votings where Central picked up 2 votes. Is that what you said, Doc?
Yeah, some people picked them up, put North Carolina Central number one.
And you said Alabama State lost 2 votes. So I'm going to do the math here. I don't know if this is true. Are you telling me that 2 people who watched or either stat watched that Alabama State Jackson State game and took their 2 votes and said, oh, I'm going to get him votes to North Carolina Central instead of giving it to the team that just beat the number 2 team? I understand that. I don't understand it at all. I don't.
yeah, that's some fuzzy math.
We call that East Coast bias.
I guess it must be. I mean, I voted.
Who Joshua Sam's 2 friends on this committee? We know where the 1 vote come from.
Call them out.
Look,
I don't care who put that. Who did that? That's fuzzy math.
And I'll say this quickly. Delaware State, look, I just was looking at the stats, and we'll talk about this tonight. I know it was a Division II team, but this is the comparison. There are teams that are playing non-NCAA teams that are not beating teams the way Delaware State. I mean, Drew, they put up 608 yards on 36 carries. Who does that? Nobody. They deserve top. I know Bethune is doing a great job, and this ain't Bethune hate. Delaware State is running through people. I can't wait for their next game. That's all I'm going to say, but woo!
Yeah, good stuff. Charles, you were jumping in there. Go ahead and give me your final 7 thoughts on the top 7, I should say, before we take our last break.
Yeah, I think like everybody said, in the last piece of meat on the bone is just you were just taking a look at that 2-3. You know, if the win for North Carolina Central was impressive enough, going down to Bragg and putting 45 points up on Florida A&M, that was the thing that I fought with in terms of, do I keep Alabama State at 2 or do I move North Carolina Central up? And in my head, for me, still going to Florida A&M and dominating in the fashion that they did, just did edge out Alabama State for that number 2 spot. But I think, as Brian mentioned, we're taking a look probably the best 3 teams right now in HBCU football. And that slugfest yesterday with Jackson State and Alabama State, the championship medal of both of those teams. I tell you what, that was phenomenal to sit back and watch.
Great points you made. All of y'all make great points. That's why I like doing the top 7, not only ranking the team, but giving you all a chance to respond to it. And you all are providing votes in it. So it gives people an understanding of what you put into your thoughts in terms of your votes. Obviously, when you look at the AP and you hear different folks voting, you might hear something here and there, but rarely do you get to talk to the folks that actually do the voting and give your thoughts in terms of how they rank teams. So I appreciate you all sharing that perspective because it's all important and it all goes into the mindset of how detailed and how you frame you making decisions and how all of them have legitimate arguments. There may be some that are a little more strange than others, as Brian brought out, but it'd be fascinating if we could get a chance to hear the mindset. But this gives you some framing of what that looks like. So let's take our last break and come on the other side. We'll talk about a couple of key matchups, and then we'll let everybody close up on the Sunday and get back to the business. Do some things before they tune in this evening for Sports Wrap with Brian and AD. They're going to give you a longer breakdown in terms of how they take the deep dive in terms of matchups and set you up for the next week. With that, let's take a last break, come back on the other side and do just that in terms of key games to keep your eyes on in week number 7.
Greetings, Panthers. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As you see, AD Drew had to move forward as he's getting on the road. But we have Charles, Mike, and Brian. AD is back. I thought he was moving around. But with that being said, 2 weeks, we have Prairie View's homecoming. We got to make sure we put that out there. But I also want to say we had the HBCU Las Vegas Classic. And if it wasn't for homecoming, I would be in Las Vegas. But when I am, and my family is in Las Vegas, Nevada, we love to dine at Chick-fil-A, located at 9830 West Flamingo Road. The owner-operator, Ron Peterson, is a graduate of Prairie View A&M University. Will be excited to have you as a guest. Let him know Dr. Bill sent you by. So for those Grambling and Jackson State fans, Grambling State fans out there, make sure you get some relaxing. Go check out Chick-fil-A. The one on 9830 West Flamingo Road is operated by HBCU graduate. He supported your young men with a NIL agreement, as you've seen us playing over the week. So we're trying to change the game, not only by what we cover, but also how we support the student athletes. And one of those young men was none other than quarterback Moore. Boy, did he deserve that NIL, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of other NIL deals the way he got it done leading the Jackson State Tigers. Even Charles seems to be finding a way, maybe in terms of the business he does, to support it even more. So, I had to take a little more shot at Charles. Big shout out to QB Moore. He's on top of it. With that being said, let's get into this last segment as we're coming on our time to look forward. Key matchups in week 7, top 7, and we'll go a little bit beyond that. But let's jump right into it. A couple of key matchups to look at. Prairie View A&M Panthers 4-2, 3-0. That Southern Jaguars 1-5, 0-2. People may not realize, most people think about Southern dominating Prairie View, and obviously it was a time that happened. But if you go back over the last decade and a half, this matchup has been pretty much even, slightly led, and Prairie View has been able to go into on the bluff and get it done. Can they continue that? And this certainly puts them in a strong position if they're able to do it. In terms, it'll be their fourth win, all of them in the West Division, so they would have all the tiebreakers. So from that perspective, this is a key matchup. Let's go to the next one. And as I said, a lot of your top two teams, they're off this week. When you talk about Alabama State and Jackson State, also all teams in the MEAC are off before they get into conference action, except for Howard. So light on the list a little bit, but you do have homecoming, because this is homecoming season. So Virginia at Lynchburg, the Dragons are 0-2 on the season. They travel to number 6, Texas Southern Tigers 3-3, 3-1. Let's continue to go. We only have the last one there in terms of rankings. Number 10, you have Howard Bison are at Tennessee State Tigers 1-5. That's a MEAC versus Big South OVC. Remember, Tennessee State went up to Howard for their homecoming, got it done again. So there's some ways the Howard team was going to be looking to get over the 500 mark before they get into conference play. And more importantly for them, they want a little payback with the Tennessee State team that's struggling. Their only win comes across the North Carolina A&T that we spoke about when they were able to block the last-second field goal. The Tigers are 1-5, 0-3 in the Big South OVC race. So that's some matchups there. Any other matchups we have, Brian, or is that the final one? I think we had maybe a couple that were not ranked, which is Grambling State Tigers 3-3, 0-2. Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions 2-3, 1-1. This is important because the Golden Lions have not played played Prairie View, and so this means that they're still in the race. But Grambling has any hopes. More important for them, they just want to get back in the winning run. So this is a little interesting in terms of the East Division race. Also in terms of East versus West, you got Alcorn Straight 1-4, 0-2. They're at FAMU. It's FAMU's homecoming. That's 1-4, 0-1. As I said, while it's been a long season, they're just 0-1 in the conference race, and they still have Jackson State ahead of them. So theoretically, they're still in the race. But certainly Alcorn State Braves at 0-2 cannot afford another conference race. And then there's the talk about just how strong the East Division is over the West Division. So this is another chance for the East to kind of make that final statement. Even our teams that are not playing well do better than the West teams that are not playing well. So I kind of wanted to give you that. Those are the games on the major division. So I'm going to let each of you all talk about whatever game that you want to feature as we up against it. So I want to make sure I give you a chance to talk about that, and then we'll kind of close things up. So let me start with you, AD Drew.
Brian, can you put that last one back up again? FAMU, Alcorn State. Because I need everybody to screenshot this. There is no way in hell you would have told me that coming into this game, there would be 2 wins combined between these two teams, including a goose egg for both teams in SWAC play. You could not have paid me. I would have asked you what kind of drugs you smoking.
You would have lost everything.
If you would have told me that this was going to be on my screen in October, everybody. I had to start off with that one. Obviously, probably the game that's going to have a lot of attention is a non-conference matchup between Howard and Tennessee State. Yes, the UAPB game against Prairie View is important, but I want to just mention the team that's on the back. That being the Jackson State Tigers. They need to get their rest during this bye. Jackson State starts an interesting stretch coming out of this bye. They play 3 games, 3 consecutive weeks in 3 different time zones with 3 different start times. Talk about some things that are going to affect your body clock and your game preparation. This is an interesting stretch for Jackson State. This could be just because of this quirk in the schedule, could be where Jackson State could get tripped up. I don't think so, but it's going to be interesting just to watch this. It's got a 5 o'clock game in Las Vegas, which is 2 hours behind them. Then you've got a 7 o'clock game in Tallahassee, which is an hour ahead of their body clock before you come back home to the state of Mississippi with a normal 2 o'clock start. So that's really interesting. And we know Mike knows when you travel east, west, west, east, it takes you sometimes a day, 2 days for your body clock to adjust. So
absolutely.
Good points, and we'll see. We got to find some way to talk about the Tigers, and I think that's the perfect elixir to talk about the stretch over the last 3 weeks in terms of time zone. We'll see if they can make it through it. Something tells me they can, but I like the fact that we bring it on the table to give you something to think about. The Tigers, as everybody wants to just say, check the box. They're ready to go, and we'll be hosting. I will say you might want to go ahead and book your hotels, though, for Jackson, because unless some weird things happen, they'll be right there. Big Mike, since you talked about that, let me go to you, and then I'll come to you, Charles.
Yeah, so for me, I think part of it was what AD was saying is I am looking at the Prairie View Southern game because of that last game. If you look over the 5 years, it's about 50-50 in terms of who winning. So I'm looking at that, and Prairie View has a chance to go 4-0 in the SWAC, and I don't expect Texas Southern to lose to Virginia Lynchburg. So Texas Southern is right on their heels. So is Prairie View, I think, has to be careful of reading their own press clippings and just focus and play well. They should pair up well against Southern, but we'll see. So I'll be looking at that game. I tell you, two teams who should be getting their rest. If you look at the MEAC, they got a break. In 2 weeks, Delaware State goes and plays North Carolina Central. So going to that, they're not crossing time zones, but that's going to be a gig. You want to tell me Delaware State does not have Central in their crossroads? I'd say you're wrong. So I'd look out for that. And then the other one is the game, especially FAMU, where they play. What FAMU are we going to see? That's homecoming, right? So are they going to bounce back? Are we going to see some kind of a pulse? Am I going to tap it and see a pulse or something like that? That interests me. And then Alcorn State has as much buy. They don't want to go 0-3 in the SWAC. So and then I go back to July. What AD's point is Alcorn State, FAMU. You mean to tell me exactly what AD's saying, that those teams are both 1 in a million together? They are 1-9, and we're talking almost dang near mid-October. I wouldn't have put money on that one. So those are 2 or 3 things that I'm looking at.
Yep, 2-9 is crazy when you talk about FAMU and Alcorn State's combined record. Over in the conference race, even more alarming. Charles, you about to add some points to both AD and Mike. That's why I wanted to get him in, because he was going to talk a little bit more about the time zone. Where are you going in terms of your thoughts?
Well, I think from this standpoint, Florida A&M and Alcorn, we really have to pay attention with regards to in terms of do both coaching staffs, they still have the eye of the players. I think, especially when you take a look at Florida A&M versus Alcorn, and then also Southern and Prairie View. That's something to kind of pay attention to in terms of, whether these teams have kind of checked out on their respective coaching staff. So that's something to keep an eye on with regards to how they come out and play next week. And AD Drew, I'm going to get on you about stirring up my phone. Anytime you talk in regards to, this, that, and the other with regards to Jackson State, I got folks screenshotting me their hotel reservations in Atlanta already. So just cut it out, please. I mean, I have to keep a lid down on this fan base. I have to do what I can to kind of keep the lid down on this fan base from time to time. Like, wait a second, they're still Bethune-Cookman playing great football. They're still Grambling. There's a historical thing playing them. We still got to go to brag. But I got folks like, what the hell is he talking about? So you just cut it out, man.
I got the shirt on, man. I got it on. We're going to leave it right there.
Brian, give us your closing thoughts and close it out for us before we do our.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what's fascinating, and this is because I'm right now my team is living in this world. I'm fascinated at the matchups this week and next week between the bottom third of the SWAC. They all play each other this week or next week. And it might be if you listen to the fan base, some jobs might be on the line this week and next week. If you listen to the fan base now, I'm just saying, you got Southern at home against a very good Prairie View. Alcorn, FAMU, still looking for a conference win. Don't look at next week. These same teams kind of play each other. UAPB, I mean, tonight, I'm focusing on the bottom half of the SWAC. That's where we can talk about you guys on this show. It's great. We can talk about the top half. Tonight, we talk about the bottom half of the SWAC because that's where the interesting stuff lies at the bottom. So
that's what the drama is.
Right? Catfish at the bottom. That's what we talking about. Catfish game. That's what we talking about tonight.
I will be listening in Puerto Rico with my feet in the water, relaxing with a little thinking cup, as well as maybe a cigar to celebrate those that have won. Cigar, shout out to Jackson State University in terms of that big victory. Cigar to Delaware State as they continue to get it done. Cigar to Texas Southern University, you see, representing them in terms of their big wins. And for those other teams that were able to get it done this week, cigar to Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats. Alcorn State bounces back and getting a big win for their homecoming. Pine Bluff rolling all over the team they played that we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. And shout out to North Carolina Central, taking all four division related and getting it done. With that being said, thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, Dean of HBCU Sports, comes from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, as well as Brian and AD. As I said, they'll be talking about the bottom half of the SWAC specifically, and the bottom half of maybe some other teams as well, to keep you alarmed in terms of what the thought is for those fans, particularly with Charles Bishop and Mike Washington putting them on the ledge. We'll see what Brian and AD have to say. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and Sunday at 9 a.m. Safe travels to my wife and Deuce as they head back home after they were able to celebrate a homecoming victory by the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, to give them a shout out and a little bit of love.
So let me get this right. They coming back home and you leaving.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand it.
You
know, that husband-wife dynamic, it's been a while since I had to do it, but
Yeah, we're the modern family, so we keep it on the road. We keep it moving. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Sports Rap Team. Brian and AD.
Dismiss.
Oh, they are a team. You see how they play?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Brian, we got to bring you on because AD acted right today.